Hey everyone, Derek here from WayScript. Thanks for checking out our page. In this brief demo, I want to show you some of the key functionality of WayScript and how limitless the possibilities are using it. Let's get started. Once you sign in and create a script, this will be the page that you land on. This is the WayScript Editor, and this is where we build our applications. Let's say that we wanted to create a simple API that returned information from our database. What we could use is an HTTP trigger. In WayScript, a trigger is just something that we use to activate the execution of all the modules below it. In this case, an HTTP trigger gives us access to a URL. When a user goes to this URL, we return some type of response here. We can build that response now. If we want an API that queries a database, we could use things like SQL. We could pull information from things that aren't databases as well, such as Google Sheets. But in this example, let's use Airtable. So we can select the Airtable module, and it populates a module below our trigger in our workflow. Now, we can connect whatever Airtable database that we want, or select one that we've already created. Once our information populates, we see that we're given access to outputs that we can select down here. What an output will do is create a WayScript variable. WayScript variables are what we can use between modules to perform some type of flow. So, in this case, let's say that we wanted to pass record IDs as a WayScript variable to our API response. To create that API response, we need JSON, and this is where the power of WayScript truly shines. We can use programming languages to do exactly what we need inside of WayScript. You can use your preferred programming language to create the exact functionality that you want. In this case, I have a list of strings, and I need to create an API response, so I need JSON. We can do that with just a few lines of Python code. After a few lines of our custom Python code, we should create a variable that we can use in the next module. Once we execute it, we see that we have just that. Now we can go down below this Python step and we can pass in an HTTP response, which is all we'll need for an API. We'll specify JSON, and then our response content will just be the API struct that we created in the last step. Finally, we need to activate this trigger, so when a user goes to that URL, they'll return that information. Once we go, we see that we get the API response in our browser. That's pretty cool, right? We were able to use custom Python code to get the exact result that we wanted. Let's take a look at a second example. If we wanted another function inside this one script, we could click on Add Function. This time, let's create a time trigger. What a time trigger does in WayScript is automatically execute everything below it at a specified time. If we wanted to run this every day, we could choose that option, or we could choose many others. Let's run this one every hour. For this use case, let's say that we wanted to get information from a database and write it to a Slack channel so our team is always informed every hour. We can use an SQL module to do that. The SQL module allows us to write custom SQL code that we can use on our own database. Once we write the SQL code that we want, we get access to that table inside of WayScript, and we can import these values and call them whatever we want. A cool thing here is that if you had a step before where you could dynamically place information into this query. So for example, if you wanted to create some type of information above, we'll just use the CreateVar module to do this. And we'll just say new var is equal to 5. Here, you could pass this new var variable directly into your SQL query. So instead of 5 here, you could just pull in that variable that we created above and get back this same result. Being able to access this custom code when creating these internal business tools is a really awesome opportunity to create dynamic tools that actually produce results that your business wants. Although we're just saying create variable here as a static number 5, you could imagine that this would be a dynamic step, such as reading in a Slack message that has the number 5 or any other numbers, and then being able to dynamically query your SQL database. Finally, let's return that information to Slack. In Slack, we could choose the channel that we wanted, and we can interact with these variables just how you would expect to. We would be able to pull them in and drop that information directly into the message. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and I hope you see how powerful WayScript is by being able to create such a dynamic tool that your business can use. If you have any questions or comments, we're always happy to help. Until next time.